We are moving on, but before we do that, let's touch on a few more stories in the newspaper. All right, so we do have our other interview lined up. All right, so we are speaking about now Men with a Purpose workshop, and we do have on the line this morning Pastor Irvin Padier, President of the Men of Purpose and National Coordinator for the World Needs a Father TT. All right, so Pastor, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, Pastor, let's get right into this workshop. Let's talk a little bit about it.
The workshop took place last weekend. The theme of the workshop was Step Up into Manhood. It took place at the Gulf View Community Center. We were really thankful for the participants that took place in it. And I'm sure that we are going from step to step in order to fulfill the mandate that we have been given, which is to empower young men, especially, to fulfill their purpose on the earth because of the need that we see arising in our country.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because I'm sure that the question could be asked, why now, Pastor, do you think that workshop was so important?
The workshop was very important because of, in fact, when we planned this workshop, we didn't know there was going to be an election to the Monday right after. However, we decided to continue because we believe even more than ever, young men has a say. Young men has been crying out. Young men have been on the verge of suicide. Young men has been fatherless. And these are some of the things that we addressed during the workshop. Topics like fatherlessness, which if fatherlessness was a disease, it would be in the pandemic proportion. Men of Purpose has a mandate to address the fatherlessness, especially that's the number one cause of suicide, depression, and crime in our country.
So I see some of the other topics. What is manhood? Could you please put back who is a leader? What is real fatherhood? Father wounds revealed, and the state of fatherhood in Trinidad and Tobago, an identity crisis. Pastor, you think that events such as these are important, very important, because of the way that our boys have been raised in this society? Don't be too emotional. Be a man. Don't cry. And we always have to show strength and never weakness.
Yes, I understand that more than ever, we need to address the situation. Young boys in our school system, they are so indoctrinated with crime and with low self-esteem that they are crying out. But the cry is seen like violence. It is seen as though they are not interested in the rest of the world. It's because they are not heard. And they feel as though they are heard in social media. And when they go down that path, it goes down to a self-destructive path because they are not given the right tools in how to handle what's happening in their mind. The fact that we tell the young boy from a young age, you are not supposed to cry. Big men don't cry. And this young boy grows up feeling as though he cannot even express himself. How can I express myself? How can I speak up when I cry or when I show any sign of weakness? I am seen as a girl. So this young man, he lashes out. He become literally taken away from the world that we know, and they form their own world, their own cosmos, their own little central space that their parents don't even understand, sometimes to the detriment of the child, which most time will be too late.
Pastor, what are some or were some of the main issues, challenges, problems as expressed by some of the participants at the workshop?
A lot of men had to deal with father wounds. We had men who were a part of the workshop that came out to say that they did not know their father. Mm-hmm. They did not know the father's love. They don't know what it feels like to have a father right there when they reach home, to just give them a hug, a simple thing like a hug, and say, son, how was your day? It sounds like something that is in a movie, something that we will see on this television screen, on television, on shows, but it's not happening in the culture that we grew up in, well, most of the men grew up in. So that young man, understanding that he is not seeing his father, he is not understanding what the role of a father is supposed to be, he now grows up and he is having a family, and he is saying and he's understanding somehow or the other, I am supposed to be a father to my children, but I never experienced a father for myself. So he now is on the job training, more or less. This man is trying to take care of his family. Most of the time, some of the men that were there, they stumbled into fatherhood, meaning it wasn't a planned thing either. They didn't plan to be a father. So if I didn't plan to be a father and I was not a father, I was not given a father's love, and I was not shown what a real man is supposed to be, now I am expected to be a real man. So he is literally trying his best to say how best he could make of the situation that is presented to him. So that was one of the main things that happened and we spoke about during the workshop.
But you know, Pastor, there's this argument sometimes that when we see young men involved in delinquent behavior, and sometimes you hear, well, there was no father in the home. But the question could be asked, Pastor, so, but where's the uncle in all of this? Where's the male teacher in all of this? Where's the shopkeeper in all of this? So you mean there is no positive male figure around at all? And I think that when people speak about that, we get back to the saying of old that it takes the community to raise a child. So is it, Pastor, you believe that there's a wider dereliction of duty on the part of males in Trinidad and Tobago?
And that's the reason why we have workshops like these. Very, very important question. The reason why we have workshops like these is because we need father figures, Marlon. We need father figures in our homes, in our communities, in the nation. Family circles should have father figures. Now, we are not saying that the men in the community are perfect. Sometimes they are one good, upstanding one that is trying to help. So what we are doing, we are giving the men the tools in which to mentor. Some men mentor, but they mentor with an iron fist, with the rod of correction, and they believe that's the way in which to discipline a man or a young man. You need to be strict with him, be rough with him. But the truth is, you need to love him. That's the main thing. You need to love him. If I know that I am shown love and I'm shown affection and I could speak with you, now I would come to you with my problems. I will come to you and address what I'm feeling as a young man. But if I see you as a stickler for discipline and a no-nonsense type of person, and you're very rough all the time, and most of the time, it's not love, it's just frustration, or you're frustrated with this young man who is already turning on to the bad element. So how am I to reach him? And sometimes it's too late. Sometimes it's too late to reach him because he has already went ahead in his own mindset. So it's a mind change that needs to happen. But we try to train men, and that's the essence of the workshop. We try to step up into manhood because the truth and the fact is Trinidad needs a father.
Did you see a change at all among the participants when compared to when they entered the workshop and when they left? You saw that glimmer of hope being expressed by them, and them feeling that there is someone and some place where they can have a discussion, a safe space, if I can put it that way.
This is something that we would have to see in further workshops or further communications with them. But one thing I could say that I did see was an openness to respond to what was teaching. I saw openness to say or to express themselves. Men that had stories that I didn't even expect opened up, and when they started to share and have a conversation with us, I was like, where is this? How am I understanding this man is now expressing himself in a way that I don't understand? And it is surprising to me to note that he is the man that he is now expressing himself to be. When he came to the workshop, it was like, he was normal, casual, but when he opened his mouth at the end, because at the end we give every man a chance to speak, and when he opened his mouth and speak, as I then understood, oh, that's the reason why he was responding that way. That's the reason why he was so silent during the entire workshop, because he is also faced with a dilemma of fatherlessness. He never had a father. He is a father right now, but he's trying his best. And that's all we need from the men. We need the men to try their best, to actually want to do more in the space that they're in. It could be as simple as listening to their wives or listening to their sons or daughters more, or not being so angry all the time, or trying not to be busy, because sometimes we could be busy. Sometimes we could just be busy instead of being available. And that's the essence of some of the things that happened during the workshop.
Yeah. I suspect that you would recommend, Pastor, more workshops such as these, more safe spaces such as these to be created for men?
Yes. In the future, we are looking to go into businesses. Sorry, we are going into businesses. We are going into schools. We are going into community groups. We are going to understand what's happening. And at the end of this year, we intend to be in a few schools. I think for a fact that it is necessary for us to really go into primary schools, talk to those standard 3, standard 4, standard 5 boys. Want to go into businesses, speak to men just for an hour, talk to them one-on-one. We intend to go, Marlon, into anywhere that there are men, anywhere that men are gathered. We intend to go to sports teams. We intend to go all over the country with this message of Trinidad needs a father and the state of fatherlessness in our country.
Yeah. Pastor, I just have about 1 minute again. Anything else you'd like to add?
I want to say that if we take this situation of fatherlessness and we know that there's a problem, first we need to acknowledge the problem. If we acknowledge the problem of fatherlessness, we will understand that we need to address it. Young men have a voice. Young men are powerful. Young men would sway a country in one direction or the other. If we give those young men the tools and let them understand that I can be somebody, I have a right to speak, I could be the next great man on the earth. We need to instill this in our young men in Trinidad and in Tobago. If we don't do that, then we would reap what we sow. Let's sow love, let's sow hope, let's sow purpose. And that's why Men of Purpose is here. And I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity this morning to share this workshop and to share our vision.
Yeah, Pastor, thank you very much for providing that safe space for men in Trinidad and Tobago. Bye for now, Pastor. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Yeah?